meeting to order at Griggs County Commission. 1 o'clock on June 22nd. Stand for pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Does anybody have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Not me.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Been moved by Sean to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Excuse me. The June 9th meeting minutes.
Did we take roll?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just can't recall that we took roll call, but
Good work, Ron.
Good work.
Better back up and take a roll call.
Looks like he's vying for your job.
no, definitely not.
Ron.
Here,
Here.
John. John is here.
Here.
Dale is absent. Troy is here. Okay. Now the 9th meeting minutes.
Hey, Kenny. No, I got that. I grabbed that. That takes us all.
He was late last month too. Last minute.
See if you can beat it tonight.
Is there minutes from the Board of Equalization meeting?
Those are in there.
That's in it.
It's that paragraph right at the top of page 4. Do you keep those in the tax equalization?
I don't have anything separate for those.
You don't know?
Mm-mm.
Should be.
Probably.
Yeah, I think there should be.
No, as far as I do it, I've just been putting them in your guys' commission books.
As long as you can flag them somehow so that if someone wants to know
Read
the
them.
minutes of the tax equalization meeting from 10 years ago, we can go to that page and find that.
No, I don't have them flagged or anything like that either, so.
We've got to start doing that because that could be a request that they want to see the minutes meetings, and it would take a long time to go through them.
Right.
Although they are at a certain date every year.
Yep.
So maybe that's not it. Maybe that's inconsequential.
I didn't see anything. I moved to approve the meeting minutes as submitted and dispense with the reading.
Second.
Been moved by Ron, seconded by Sean to approve the minutes, the minutes from the June 9th meeting as presented and dispense with the reading. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to the bills.
What's the electoral watchman bill for?
That's the, they're the ones that monitor our system.
Oh. No, that's a service. They actually are, that's like our entry alarms.
Yep,
That's
fire,
what-
fire
that's what-
alarms, everything.
That's who gets called. If an alarm, entry alarm, fire alarm, whatever kind of alarm goes off, the systems, I think, call electro watchmen, and then they call the appropriate.
Well, then they get a fee for doing such.
Yeah. We have another company do it at the bank. Same thing.
This, let's see, page 5, the CD trust for 11,879. That was. Okay, I see it. I got it. I see above it. Yep. The vendor. I got it. I have a question that'll probably come up later anyway, but it's to do with our insurance in all the county buildings.
Okay.
Are the senior citizens buildings considered county property, or are they considered?
They might be on ours. I would have to check on that. I'd have to ask Amber about that, because I know we have to let the bank know if the fair board has any
Right.
different events or anything like that. So I'm wondering if maybe they are too. Let me look into that.
I mean, they're paid for with county property, so I assume they probably, with county taxpayer dollars, so I assume they probably are.
That's in Binford and Hannaford, Cooper and Sutton, right?
Correct.
So there'd be all 4 towns that,
Yeah.
to check into, I guess.
It was just for future discussion on this remodeling project.
Looks like they found some money now.
What got remodeled?
Oh,
No,
it's coming up in
Yeah.
the senior citizens portion of the meeting.
Oh.
I'd move to approve the bills as presented.
Been moved by Sean to approve the bills as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries.
We're gonna be done before the.
Is this an amended one to this one, or?
No. I don't know.
Sure, the answer is no.
I don't know what's better.
But they're different.
So it must be amended if it's different.
I don't think Samantha wants to talk about it.
I don't know. Like, I really don't know.
The first one is not approved.
Yeah. Maybe we just have to wait till they come in. I don't know what it's all about, but.
You want some time to think about it?
She probably has been thinking about it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. But I really don't. I don't know.
Page 23.
Yeah.
Advertising.
We're supposed to open up bids today, and I did get one bid.
Nice.
It says that they were supposed to submit 2 identical bids, and I got 2 identical bids. Do you just open one, and then I keep what do I do with the other one? Do you know? I didn't understand why there was 2 identical bids.
One was for the real property, the mobile home, I would imagine, and one was for the,
Well, what we put in the advertisement, one will be open during the June 23rd Commissioners meeting. The other will be kept confidential, but will be opened upon receipt. I'm not sure why we did that.
Yeah, and I don't.
we didn't.
Jamie.
Okay.
Because it's not going to stay confidential because the other identical
It
one
doesn't make sense that
yeah.
If they're identical, the minute you open one, the other one isn't confidential.
Right.
it doesn't-
We're opening it in the public.
No,
It doesn't make much sense.
Maybe you got an answer.
yeah, it says it's gonna be opened upon receipt, but kept confidential by the auditor. And the other one's gonna be opened at the commissioners meeting.
Oh,
Now,
so she
why-
could open
the
one
purpose of
earlier.
that, but it's that, because it says it's gonna be opened on receipt.
Yeah, I just don't know why we would do that, but.
I have no idea.
Well, we didn't.
I didn't. I didn't open any of them.
Do you want to do yours first time?
So we solved that.
So that was false advertising.
Should I open it?
Oh, I'm opening it.
She got hers first.
Hers is supposed to be open first, but she can't tell you what's in it. You can use the card act of magnificent.
Garnet, good name. I respectfully submit a bid on, it said it should have been of $151 for the property at 202 Roberts Avenue Northwest, Cooperstown, North Dakota. I presume that's that lot.
What was there?
What,
The description.
doesn't, I don't think it says. here.
206 Roberts Avenue.
Northwest.
Yep.
Is that what it said?
Yep.
Okay.
And now my question is,
Who turned it in?
Oh, Jeremy and Michelle's on, I'm sorry.
my question is because the minimum bid for the property was like 2,000 something. Do we want to? And we didn't put a minimum bid in here. Do we want to accept something lower than what the minimum bid was on the tax sale? Because then that would be what the taxes are owing for the last 3 years or whatever. So that was, and I talked to Jamie about it, and then he was thinking that since we already had it in the paper, then I would have to bring it up to you guys at this time. So
Alderman wasn't in here.
you guys didn't say anything that you wanted a minimum bid, so he didn't put a minimum bid in. So I was just, and then he said maybe it's in the best interest of the county just to let it go, you know, for whoever's going to take it to get it cleaned up. And
Do we have the ability to
Take less than the tax.
take less than the taxes?
No, because they're not our taxes, they're the city's.
Then
Unless
you
the
would-
city waives it, we don't think we should sell it and then pay the city for the back taxes. That's not going forward, folks.
It was a rhetorical question.
Well, the $2,006, that's county, city, school district, and everything.
Everything.
that's
yeah.
everything, yep. And so you can abate those taxes, is that correct? Like,
We can't.
and so then you can abate the taxes on that.
That's how it would be done. Forgive was the wrong word. And then no one would get their share of it.
But wouldn't the city have to do that?
No, we have the ultimate authority to abate taxes.
Okay.
So, in my way of thinking, as the county is the owner of this, the county would ask for the abatement.
I think so, yeah.
From the city.
No, from ourselves.
Oh. Well, convince yourself.
Yeah, the owner has to ask for the abatement, and the ultimate authority for abatement lies with the county commission. So the state's attorney would draw up a paperwork abating these taxes based on the current bid price, and then we would accept it, I think is how it works.
Seems reasonable.
I mean, I don't expect that anybody's gonna pay $2,000. There's too much at risk.
Bare lots don't even go
Right.
for
So,
Just $100.
you know, is the city, do they have, can they voice an opinion? Probably so, but I don't think they have the ultimate authority to deny the abatement, but I'm not sure of that.
So we need to have Jamie look into that.
I don't think so because we had the one abatement come from the city that they had rejected the abatement and then you guys approved it and then it ultimately went through.
But I think it had to go through the city first, didn't it? Even though they rejected it, I think the city had to do that first, and then it came to the county, and we overruled the.
Well, I think we should accept the bid pending the proper paperwork to go forward with the offered price.
Pending an abatement.
Whatever we have to do, pending the proper paperwork or procedures to go forward with accepting that bid. That's what I think we should do, but
Why aren't you making a motion?
I make a motion that we will accept the offer contingent on the county's ability to abate the taxes to the offered price.
And I seconded.
Seconded by Ron. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Ron? Aye. Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried.
And if that doesn't work, the state's attorney will tell us. We'll do something different.
Social service building.
Okay. Jamie was supposed to get me some information from a realtor and he was gonna contact some other realtors and he's been trying to get in contact with this one and get some information from you or for you guys and I didn't receive anything, so
Yeah.
Just so I can catch up.
Jim Walker's kind of out of our trade area anyway. If he's thinking of, wouldn't we be better off with Valley City, Jamestown, Carrington? I mean, I know a lady that works for Century 21 out of Jamestown. She lives in Carrington. I don't know.
Road route commercial property?
Not really. I mean, commercial ag real estate. but-
Right. Yeah, we should get it listed, I just don't know where, I mean, no matter where it's listed, it's gonna get picked up in all
It's all shared.
the sites anyway,
information.
it's all shared anyway.
Have we been listing it? It's been listed? Oh, okay. I didn't know if we'd put a listing in yet. Okay.
no.
But even one of the local real estate companies, if we list it with them, it'll get picked up by everybody else anyway.
Mhm.
It's just how you list it, you know, commercial property, Cooperstown, North Dakota, and former bank building. You know, maybe that's a start, maybe that's easier.
Just with Stacy or somebody?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, who else is there in town?
I think that's it, no?
Yeah. So I mean, maybe that's the easiest, and then just have her, tell her we want it advertised statewide.
Okay. You want to do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Make sure that in the advertisement, it's advertised as a former bank building with functioning vault.
Okay.
Does it have a vault in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Southwest corner,
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
big vault,
Yeah.
regulation bank vault.
It was right behind where the counter used
Yeah,
to be in
yeah,
it.
and it was, when they were building the building, it was steel cinder block, I mean, regulation.
What was it, Metropolitan first, right? Or was it Gate City?
Gateway or Metropolitan, I'm not sure.
I think it was Metropolitan first.
Yep.
Okay. I will get and hold of her.
2018 budget.
Okay, I would like to discuss that if I may. Do you guys have a date that you would like budgets back? Should I be giving them out to the department heads now? They're all ready. And then when would you like them to be back?
It's 2 weeks. I mean, that's pretty reasonable, isn't it? In 2 weeks, they should be able to have them.
Okay.
And you have the format that you're gonna send it out to them?
Yep, the same format that we've been using for the past 2 years.
Can we emphasize that if they, unless they come back in that format, they're not gonna be accepted for review?
Okay. And you want them to go out to those other county levy places too, correct?
Yep.
Like the library.
Library and stuff like that. Yep. Yep. And you guys want this format for them too?
Right, and if you could, send them the 2017 budgets that are in the budget, send them that same page so they can have the comparison of how it should be done.
The other county levy sheet?
No,
Or
well,
like-
those are gonna have to just wing it. I mean, you're gonna have to put it together, but like say if we had the senior citizens maybe, or one of those that put in a budget last year, send them what we
Yep,
approved.
absolutely.
The approved budget.
Yep, I usually do.
So then it'll be 15, 16, 17, now this one will be 16, 17, 18.
Yep.
But the problem, the remaining fund balances in all of those entities that have their own checkbook never ever get publicized.
But they should be, and I think that's probably the reason why that column is in there, is for the people the budgets that have their own checkbook. We need to know what they have as far as money goes, because that influences the tax levy. So it's in their best interest not to tell us, and it's in our best interest to know.
How does it influence the tax levy?
Well, if they would turn in a budget, the way we do it with the existing county budgets, the auditors, or the general fund, is if we use the balance brought forward to offset levy.
I know that, but they're not gonna do that.
They don't want to do that, but they should do that. They should do that. Because if they're carrying enough money to run for a whole nother year without levy, that's what should happen.
I know, but we don't have any ability to stop it.
We do. Long-term ability, we just deny them levy.
We can't.
Yes, we can.
The library?
Yes, it's up to 4 mils. It's not mandatory 4 mils. All these levies are up to.
Well,
the
they
mill.
got $100,000 in their checkbook.
I know. I've been saying this for years, that so is Ron, that we should, but there's exceptions. The historical society, a lot of that, it was donations. How do you treat that? And then,
Yeah, that's the one I always think of. They've got $100,000 also. You know, Nielsen Trust left them $50,000, but generally we just decided to give them. We want to give them $250,000.
yeah, but it still doesn't. It still doesn't negate the fact that they should have to still follow the same process.
Yeah, but and like you were saying, probably that trust fund should be in a separate.
I think that's outside the budget.
Outside the budget. I don't know how you do that exactly, but and they sure don't know how to do it. But
Well, I think being the fact it's a trust fund, I think it is outside the budget. I think they just don't report it.
well, it was a trust fund, but now it's in their cash right now. But the trust fund gave it to them. But,
Right.
So
I don't know.
I don't know how to do it.
No, I mean, I don't think that we're ever going to tell the historical society that they don't get the $250,000, and I don't think the Fair Board or the library or any of that. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But it still doesn't mean that those balances shouldn't be known, because they really reflect the financial integrity of the county. Those are county
Assets.
assets, and if we don't know the balances in there, how can that even be reflective in the daily cash balance sheets? It should be, but it isn't.
It's not.
Well, the Historical Society wouldn't exactly be a county asset, would it? I mean, that was a private organization that started 50 years ago.
And, yeah,
And we've only been giving them that $250,000 for the last 5 or 6 years.
yeah, it's, again, there's some of them are exceptions to the rule, some of them are morphed into, but some of them are purely a county asset, I would think.
But I don't think the historical, like those buildings down there. the
No,
county
no,
had-
I think the historical side is outside of that, but, well, I mean,
Probably on county property.
I don't think so. I think it's owned by the Historical Society. I think so.
Just happens to be next to the court.
Yeah, it happens to be next to some county property and city property.
Huh.
Yeah,
And Fairboard property.
there were houses there, they tore down to put that up. I remember that.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That was never part of the fairgrounds.
Well, there was a fair barn, there was a big barn there, the sheep barn was
There's
there.
actually 3 barns. like
There was
the
3
one-
barns there, I take that
Like
back.
the one that's there, I think, didn't they have a fire or some damn thing?
Yeah, the one where the one where the museum sits was the sheep barn. Right, Rush?
Well, yeah, I know I saw a plat map of that area.
Yeah,
And
no, I
it's
mean,
talking about city owned, county owned.
As a little kid, I remember going to the fair, and you could walk into that next building to the south there,
Okay, yeah.
and that one burnt down.
I think there
I
was
can't
3 at one time.
Yeah, there was one then to the east.
Yeah.
Well, there was the community building where we had all the dances and stuff.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah,
And that rotted away, I think, and got torn down.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal if
Well, everybody should just go through the same process. Instead of doing one way for one for another.
Right.
Even if it doesn't change what we give them, they should do the process.
right.
We just haven't been successful in the past. We just gotta
That's the
keep
problem
trying.
is, I've tried,
I know you've tried and.
doing,
You
I've
have to
tried
try
sending
harder,
century
I guess.
codes with and nothing, it all comes back the exact same, so.
Yeah.
But I think senior citizens have already given me their budget for this year, cause I send that out like
Yeah.
at the end of the years, and then all the clubs have already given me those, so I already
Oh.
have
Yeah,
those, so. But it's 4 different clubs, and then I have to combine them into
Right.
one
Yep.
different one, so.
yeah.
And that's not a big deal to have to do. But I'll have them, I'll send them out next week, Monday, and just have them back by the 10th, and then have that, or sometime that one week, and then have them for you the 21st, or July 21st meeting. That's okay?
Is that, when are we meeting in July?
July 7th and then July 21st. You're the pink color.
Right after the 4th. Okay.
It's getting kind of
What-
late, isn't it?
Well, could we have them by July 7th? You're,
I could try.
it seemed like they, I can't, 2 weeks, I think they ought to be able to have them by July 7th.
July 7th, okay. I'll surely try.
Okay.
I would think so.
Mhm.
I can do the county commissions during the meeting here if you want me
Tax director?
Connie was wanting to come in on that one. Let me email her and let her know.
When she comes in, then I can run through these pages if you want.
Yep, and then she did get some stuff added for you as well.
Oh, did you?
Yep. I received, if you look on page 36, I received all of this information in the mail a little while ago, up until page 41.
Oh, okay.
And I just figured I would bring it to you guys, and because I didn't know what to do with it.
Well, I don't think,
And this is more information from,
but 36 through 41 doesn't have to do with the tax director, does it?
well, I assumed it did. I'm sorry if it's not.
No, I don't think so.
Because this is for the
It's more for insurance, isn't
Yeah,
it?
this is insurance.
full appraisal every 6 years.
But that's
That's
for county
insurance.
property and
Oh.
county assets.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And besides, that's a solicitation for the notes, that's just a advertisement.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so
just throw this away.
Well, it's not part of the tax director.
Tax director, okay.
At any rate.
I'm sorry, I figured it was, so.
That's just a company looking for work.
Do you want to revisit it under some other, item, old courthouse, new courthouse.
I guess it's a proposal that we can reject or accept, or
Yeah, I mean, it's an unsolicited,
it's not exactly
Offer.
on the agenda, so maybe it should be on the agenda for next week.
Okay.
Hi,
And
Connie.
what would this be? Like a,
It's,
What they want you to do is get a fair appraisal of your property for insurance purposes, for replacement if something happened.
okay.
But that's not mandated by anybody, that's just an outside company trying to
Right.
sell a service
Yeah.
that we don't need, so. Unsolicited appraisal offer.
Okay, I'll go ahead and run through these pages then, Connie, and give you my impression of them.
Okay, what page is it?
24.
I don't have it.
Oh,
Here, Connie,
I
I'll,
could take Dale's, I guess.
yeah.
Is he coming?
certainly not.
Doesn't look like it. Nobody's heard from him.
24,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's the email from Judy Brose, and like 4 paragraphs from the bottom, all she said was, below is the link to the 2017 ASRS deal, including all counties and cities and counties except Griggs County.
Mhm.
And then the next one, on page like 26, this is actually a different report. This is the sales ratio study report. And on page 27, somehow or another, they got that filled in, and I have no idea how they did it. Because they came up with like 23 commercial sales, 49 residential sales, and they sure didn't get it from me.
Me neither, unless those are last year's figures.
What's that?
Well, it does say 2016 real estate
Mm.
assessment at the top, so it must be last year's figures.
Well, that's what we're
Oh,
dealing
yeah,
with.
that's right, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what we're
Unless they're
dealing
the
with.
20, unless they plugged in the 2015. I don't know.
And they didn't really, because the
Okay. I don't know
2015
where they
numbers are
got it.
different, so I don't know where these numbers came from.
I haven't sent them
But
anything.
somehow or another, they were able to do it. And I don't know which sales they picked or anything else, but like the assessed values of residential at 2,758,000, 2,750,000, you know, that's,
Mhm.
I don't know where those numbers came from. And then on page 28 is just a further breakdown of it. The report that she is talking about is the one on page 29, the assessment sales ratio property distribution report. And that's the one on page 30 for Griggs County. They just left it completely blank for us. And they're the ones that have the sales information. And what it's supposed to look like on page 31, I showed it for like Hettinger County, where they take these residential sales and they put how many of them are in Bentley, how many of them are not. So what they would typically do, they would say how many of these sales were in Cooperstown, how many in Binford, and how many in Hannaford. But they're the ones that picked the sales. We didn't pick them, so they're the ones that have that information. You know, so wherever they got those 49 sales, why don't they finish the report and do the property distribution report, since they got all the information?
So we don't have the information to do it.
No, we sure don't, so.
But they want us to do it without giving us the information.
Well, she doesn't exactly say that. She just says, here's the report, including all cities and counties except Griggs County. She doesn't say we ought to do it. She just says that it wasn't, as far as I'm concerned, they didn't do it what they were supposed to and finish that. So I don't think there's anything for us to do.
Didn't I see in the century code where the county commission has to review the sales ratios
Yeah.
reports
Yeah, that is in there.
before they're put into effect?
Yeah, all of these 49 sales and 23 commercial sales were supposed to be reviewed by the county commissioners before they were submitted to the state, but
You guys review them when I was gone?
what's
You
that?
guys review them when I wasn't here?
No, no, I don't know where they got them, and I wasn't too concerned about
She's talking about.
where they got them. I mean, wherever they got them. The ratio wasn't that bad also. Whatever they came up with on page 27, they said the commercial, the median is what they go by. The
Yeah.
median was 91% for commercial and 89 89.2% for residential. And the tolerance is between 90 and 100, so typically with something 89.2%, it's close enough that they would typically just say it's fine for both residential and commercial. But again, I don't know where they came up with those sales.
No, I don't.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, it does, especially commercial. But even residential, I don't think we had 49. You know, looking at those DX reports, I don't think there was 49 of them in there.
I did give Sam that, last report on, since we're talking about celebration,
The
the
what?
one on the supplemental, or not supplemental, but on the ag, once I got all the changes in there from the townships. 'Cause some of the ag did change a little. And our county average is 639.64, and NDSU's is 713.81 for our county.
Page 35.
Okay, I didn't see it when I was glancing through. Yeah, there it is. So we're very close to 90%, 89.609.
Was it? Let's see.
Yeah.
So not unpredictably, NDSU said our ag property values increased.
Right.
In a hugely down market where land values are selling for half of what they were, NDSU says they went up.
Right.
I'm still not sure what I'm looking at. It says 2016 true and full value is 443 million.
Right. And then the 2017 is the next line.
Oh, yeah, here's the NDSU.
But how come the 2016 and 2017 true and full values are both 443 million?
Well, one's 91,000, one's 76,000.
Oh, they are
Those are the
different.
acreage.
Oh, that's the
That's
acres.
acreage.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
We had a decrease in 14
Oh, okay,
acreage that was taken out for homesteads.
okay.
The true and full is the 283 million for, yeah, billion. Million 424 compared to the 283 410.
So it went down.
Down a little
It went
bit,
down just a little bit.
14,000.
And I'm sure part of that is because we did take some farmland for residential value, so that brought it.
Did this just come out then?
These are what we get when I do put all the information from the township things into a spreadsheet.
But when did we receive the 713.81?
Oh, that one was in, oh, I can't remember when that letter came to the tax.
That's that old number.
Yeah, it
Okay.
came in like April, March or April.
Oh, did it? Okay, I don't recall.
From the state tax office, giving all the NDSU figures.
And you distributed that to us?
It was emailed to all of you.
Was it? Okay, I don't remember, but.
I can go back and read.
Well, that could be when I wasn't receiving all Griggs County email too.
Yeah, are you getting it now?
I am now.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
They had the wrong address on there, for a
Okay.
while. So if you wouldn't mind sending it.
I will.
Yeah, so what we did last year, we raised it enough to get to 90.5%, wasn't it?
Right, I think so.
So it would be like a 1% increase of ag value to get it to the 90.5, and they were fine with that last year.
Mhm, yeah.
To get it to that number, so it's probably a routine thing that we do.
And, maybe they'll see 89.6 and think it's close enough, I don't know. Yeah, that's your call.
Yeah, we could
That's your call.
gamble, but it's supposed to be over 90%. So.
Just gonna chisel away a little up here.
John.
And then, what's this on page? Before that, 34 or something?
That's the hours I put in getting the numbers into the spreadsheet from the tax books you approved at equalization.
Okay, I see, okay.
And I would think you could just, if you approve it, then it can be paid at payroll. It doesn't have to be a special check.
Is there anything?
You didn't submit this to Sam, so there's a voucher?
No.
No.
Oh, you wanted it approved first?
Yeah, well, if it's approved, it can just go on payroll.
Oh, it won't
doesn't
go
need to
through
be
the voucher. I see, I get it.
If you want it submitted as a voucher, I can do that at your next meeting.
I can do, I'd make a motion, we approve county's hours for track director's time for 4 hours at $15 an hour.
Yeah, I'll second it. Just wait for John.
No,
Okay. Do we discuss it?
we're discussing it.
Okay.
Is there any discussion?
Well, yeah, I mean, just in general, I guess you'll probably ask us in advance if you're planning on doing something.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, obviously, we want you to do the things the county commissioners want. We don't want Linda Ledbetter to call you and say, and give you 40 hours of work,
Right.
and all of a sudden we say, what in the world are you doing that for? When, so yeah, if you would just kind of tell us in advance that you're planning on doing this or planning on doing that. And it could be that we say, no, we don't think that needs to be done. Like when we just talked about that property distribution report.
Right.
You know, we wouldn't want you to get a call from Linda saying, you better spend 40 hours on it.
I wouldn't. I don't know enough about it
Yeah.
anyway, so.
Yeah, we were just talking, I about Connie's time, and I just mentioned, you know, that to tell us in advance and not to take instructions from Linda Ledbetter and do a whole bunch of work to get it approved by us in advance of what we want done, so.
Yep.
And so the motion is underway to pay
Right.
the 4 hours.
Yeah.
To bring the others.
Yeah, so I had to take that call, one of the other ones.
Is there any further discussion?
So that we're down to the point where Connie's gonna do the work, we're gonna be responsible for what is produced. So there's no.
Well, certain things, right?
Yeah, this is just, I guess I didn't realize you were talking about that right now. I thought it was just this 4 hours work.
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
That's,
Yeah, it is, you're right.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. The motion on the table is to approve Connie's extra hours. She
Oh,
put
yeah,
in
yeah,
to
that's
do the
fine.
tax director.
I thought you considered
task.
to be the tax director.
You got the cart in front of the horse just a little bit. Okay.
Figured if we voted on it, it was all A's, she was done.
I don't think we better do that.
Not quite.
Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
All right.
Ron?
Aye.
Sean? Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Connie.
I was experiencing elation, but now it's the agony.
Keep an eye on John. Okay. Is there anything else under the tax director that we need to talk about?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yep.
you had asked me to find out if other employees want to do any of the jobs.
Yeah.
There are a couple that are interested.
Okay.
They have reservations. They want to make sure that doing whatever task they want to do, they won't be asked to do more than that. They just want to do the task that, because part of it would be some of those tasks need the education.
Sure.
And they don't, you know. One of them interested is Paige, and she doesn't know anything about properties, taxes or that. But she would enjoy doing the homestead credit and vet credit, working with the public and doing that. And basically, if she gets the spreadsheet ready and gets it to me, I can put it all in the system, so that part's.
And then we can approve it, which is the way it works. anyways,
Yes,
right?
exactly. You
So,
approve them anyway.
yeah.
And she also wanted to make sure that that wouldn't be a priority when she's if she's got a trial coming on and something, you know, this
Right.
would not be interfere with her main job. Yeah, nobody was interested in doing the certification and getting.
Oh, you mean becoming a level 2?
Mm-hmm.
But were there others that were interested in doing what Paige volunteered for? Or was it
No,
just Paige?
just Paige. The other thing is, the social service, you know, with the state taking them over, they know their budget's gonna be reduced. And some of them are thinking maybe they won't have a full-time job. So it's possible that at a later date, they might be interested, but right now, no.
That thing is so in limbo because the
Yeah.
state hasn't defined what they're gonna fund.
Right.
So,
They did get the final numbers, I guess. Tammy had told me.
yeah, final numbers, but did they define them so that we know what's expected of the county and what's
Oh,
expected
no.
of social services?
Sorry.
That's what I'm wondering.
I mean, the preliminary numbers, there's, if those hold, then the county is not responsible for anything other than, well, the facilities. There's gonna be more than part-time work available, there's gonna be layoffs.
It's 103,000.
Yeah, there's gonna be
It's a
2-3 people.
big difference.
And then when you add in the social services rent, they would pay for the facility, that takes more of it away. So theoretically, you could be up in that $150,000 range. Wasn't that about right?
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right.
So how that's made up, I don't know, because
Yeah.
it's out of our hands, I mean,
Right, and that's why, you know, they don't wanna commit to anything yet or even really find out what duties are available. They just want me to be
Right.
aware that there's a possibility they'd be interested, somebody might be.
well, that would be ideal, that if that created a vacancy, that it could be,
Right.
that they wouldn't have to go to a job, they could just
Yeah.
transition into something different, I mean, that's,
Fingers crossed, yeah.
so maybe we
Another
should thank
thing-
the state for this.
The
They
other
are
thing,
helping, right?
Jamie had mentioned to me that Nelson County's tax director is looking for help, and for 2 or 3 days a week. And if we can find if they hire somebody who would want full-time, that would really be ideal, I think, because that person down here would have a certified tax director to approve everything. And to ask questions. But that would be in the future too, so you're aware that that's a possibility. Otherwise, I didn't.
I can't imagine. My reservation for doing that deal with Nelson County is they have a full-time tax director and they want a full-time 1 2/3 or whatever they're looking for.
No, part-time.
That's insane in Nelson County, North Dakota. That's just crazy. That's taking any task will expand to take up the time allotted for it.
But it can be to our advantage if we use that person who's getting trained anyway.
No, I agree with
for
you.
2 or 3 days.
As long as they don't have the same
And
approach to
what?
being a tax director as the Nelson County.
There we go,
That's the problem.
that's the problem, you can make it a 4-person job, but the job of the tax director then is assessing properties, raising taxes on our citizens. Why would we want to do that? I mean, in my view, there shouldn't be a tax director, period, because all they do is cost our citizens more money. Our citizens are levied a tax to pay their wage to in effect raise their taxes. Doesn't make any sense to me. So, if Nelson County is of that state of mind, how are we assured then that they're going to apply Griggs County's approach to tax collection in their duties as a Griggs County tax collector?
They wouldn't be tax collectors, they'd be tax directors.
They're tax collectors. The tax collector, they basically arrive at the amount of tax to be paid by the assessments and how they conduct themselves. The collector is the bureaucracy itself.
It depends on the approach,
Correct.
and that's what I'm worried about.
Me too. That's exactly what I'm worried about. I'd like to find 4 counties that have one tax director that think they have too many tax directors already and want to share one between 4 counties.
My biggest problem in asking these people is knowing what to tell them about
Yeah.
pay, because I don't know. It really can't be hourly, because like homestead credits, you're doing those. You might drive out to somebody's house who can't get out of their home and help them complete it, and then the next day you might get one call on it. And, you know, it's really hard to keep track hourly. But I can't come up with a way to figure it out. You know, $1,000 a year to do this, or,
You can't do that if you can't quantify it either.
yeah.
Hourly almost sounds better, because some months it might be a couple hours, another month it might be 7 or 8 hours. And
Mhm.
if they just charge hourly, it's actual cost of work of what they're putting into it.
Yeah.
I don't know how else you could do it.
Well, I mean, the other way to do it is what's gonna happen if we can't find cooperation here. We're gonna have to take existing dollars from salaries and create a full-time position that is able to attract a tax director. So it's beneficial to everybody involved if we can come to a working arrangement here. And we probably can, we're making progress.
Mhm.
So what's the next step?
To you guys, I guess. The duties that they've accepted, the ones that are left, I think I could take on everything except that sales ratio study. I just don't know, I mean, I can list the sales, I can fill out the spreadsheet to a certain extent, but I can't.
But we kind of proved it doesn't need to be done.
Well, yeah, this is true, I guess, yeah. Whatever.
I mean, yeah, how it showed up here, we don't know. but, yeah.
Okay. Well, then, you know, I can take on the others. So, and actually, Christie probably will too. She has been good about helping all along, anytime I've done any of the tax director stuff, so. Between her and I think if you want to just set an hourly rate, we'll see what everybody thinks about it.
Well, maybe get a group consensus on it so with them and see what they think, and don't you think?
Yep. And I don't know if there's gonna be several people doing different tasks within that, under that umbrella, if we should have some kind of a list of what they are.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of.
Okay. And then you guys have a,
And then, do you want each of them to report to you guys as a whole, or, to someone else?
This, you're talking about like Paige, you mean?
Yeah, as far as homestead credits and veterans credits, or,
I don't know if there's too
Like
much
the
to
mobile
report,
homes or-
you know, because it comes to us anyway, doesn't it? I mean, if she helps them fill out the reports, don't they?
yeah.
But I mean, Connie's talking about doing part of it, and Christie's gonna do part of it, and so everything can get done except the sales analysis, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, that, again, I think you should come to us in advance and say if you're planning on charging, 10 hours of time, because it's outside of your duty as treasurer.
Okay, even if I agree to take on those at an hourly rate.
Well,
So the same with Christie and Paige, then, if they're going to do homestead credit, you want to approve so many hours first?
I don't know that we need to do that.
I don't think that's what, he's talking if somebody, for instance, from the state asks one of you gals to do something
Oh,
that's outside
it's not been done
outside the
before
scope of what we're
within
visiting
the-
about today.
Okay.
I don't,
Yeah.
as far as if somebody needs to go visit somebody on a homestead
Right.
tax credit or veterans,
Right.
no, I don't think we need pre-approval. That'll drive everybody crazy.
So things like setting up farm exemption forms, you don't want to, I mean, that's
I
something
wouldn't
that's
think so,
always
it's
been
part of
done
the
in the
normal
past.
duties, so.
That's
Yeah, I think that we just keep it within reason, and of course, if it isn't, we'll get to see it the one time, and we can make
Yeah.
adjustments after that.
Right.
So that would not be the easiest way to do it.
Okay.
Just treat it like it's or your own money and act accordingly, and I think everything will be fine. But we don't expect somebody to do something for nothing either.
Right, so I will find out what, $50 an hour, I'm sure will come. No, no. And bring
That
that
would be
back
one
to
of
the
those
next
one-time
meeting.
deals.
Yeah, great. And you want that then at the next meeting? The consensus? for
I
your-
think so, and then maybe the people that are going to perform these duties would want to come and sit down with us, so we can they can ask questions, and we can, so we get everything.
And I think they both would have today, but they were.
Yeah, that's
already
nice.
gone,
I mean, so that everybody's got an understanding, and,
Yeah,
you know. The best way to do this is just get it so that it's just, everybody just does what needs to be done, and there's no conflict, and we work through it, and it worked out.
all right.
Thank you, Connie.
Yeah,
Thanks, Colin.
Is that something you want to do with this? Can you give this guy information?
Is this a report from Connie or something?
Nope, that's from me. That's this is.
Yours.
Yep.
Okay, so you don't remember.
That's for the water board stuff.
Yeah, I got a lot of, I didn't know where it came from.
Yep.
What page is that?
20?
Yeah.
Oh, 22.
Oh, yeah, they've all been calling me. My cell number, yeah, it's on the sign. And that's from the core line down. Oh, okay.
Okay, we're done with tax director. Let's go backwards. Water. Well, we were on task more than normal today, so we got a bunch of other agenda items done that were after you guys, so we'll go back to that agenda item now.
Sometimes things work out that way.
Yep. What? That's all right. I got the hay chopper guys out there. Get back out there as soon as I can.
Like a whipped noodle, as it's called.
Huh?
The hay is like a whipped noodle. I just checked. We had rain up here.
You know what? I got 2 water trucks from Finley Farmers out there dumping water on the windrow so the chopper can chop it because it's too dry and it's plugging the chopper.
When did you cut it?
I got done cutting it at 2 o'clock this morning.
That's too dry. All right, we cut.
If it's between 40 and 50, they said it
You gotta have
sticks
60
to the
to
inside
cut.
of that chopper and it plugs them up. And it's like running 48.
We cut on Tuesday, and it's still like when I cut it, it hasn't changed a bit. So we get rain every day. Just a little drizzle. Don't complain.
We needed a 1/10 of an inch of rain this morning. We didn't get
You
it.
didn't get it, no.
I think it dried in the plant. It's so mature. They were supposed to be here 10 days ago. There's a lot of purple on there.
That report that I just gave you guys, Jan asked me to print that out for you. She said that you hadn't seen it yet,
Is
and
this the one with the May added?
I'm not entirely sure.
'Cause she called me this morning, said something about, she had it done for May or something.
It says January, February, March, April, May.
Okay.
I bet you're right.
I have a new May budget report for the commission. Could you please print it for them? So yeah, that would.
Oh yeah, the other one was only through April.
Yep. Didn't receive a mill levy in 16?
Excuse me,
Didn't receive a mill levy in 16?
increase or?
No. I was there's a receipts page in here. Mill levy, it says 14, 15, and 16. 16 was 0.
This is the first day I've seen this.
Oh,
I
that means,
I don't know why it would be there, other than
What page is that?
Just the third to the back.
page 3.
In the,
Actually,
one there.
five.
pages aren't numbered.
Be the third full page back on what's facing you instead of the back.
that says estimate of receipts on the last two columns too. Isn't it actuals?
Why there's
Oh.
no receipt for 2016.
I mean, they were there.
They were paid.
And I don't think that 2015 wasn't exactly 64,000, would it? That'd be odd, wouldn't it?
That's probably why she's got estimated on top. Aren't those generally done with a percentage that you don't think you're gonna collect when you estimate receipts?
Yeah, but if the years are done, we should
Yeah.
have actuals.
You know,
Yeah, it says
the
estimate.
percentage that's not collected in Griggs County is not even worth talking about.
2-3%.
I don't think it's that much.
What's wrong?
Uncollected taxes,
That
what
was
is it?
less than one, wasn't
I
it?
think it's
Yeah.
1% or less. It's not very much. Based on the property that we've sold on the tax sales since we become commissioners, it's not very valuable stuff.
The stuff that gets sold, you know, lots of injections or molds or.
This last one was a vacant, or a lot over here in the west end of town with a really rundown trailer house and a whole bunch of junk on it.
I guess which one that was.
I don't remember the name of it. That
I
was
can
really-
tell you for which year how much uncollected taxes are owed to you guys. I do have all that in my office.
But it's a minuscule amount, right?
It's pretty
Yeah.
low, but
And probably when these were done, the estimated part was probably put down as estimated because of the mill levies probably weren't set.
That might have been more
than
of the
anything
deal.
else. That's
Yeah.
probably why it says estimated.
Because we don't know what the value of Griggs County will be
No,
for next year or for 2017 yet.
I would guess that's why it says estimated.
I agree with you.
page 11 through through 20, that is the budget that I received from them last year. 21 is the budget that we made for this year. And 22, that's what I actually levied.
But we don't have that.
Yeah, you know, you don't have these. And I was asked to put this in your budget, or in your packet,
Right.
so.
I think, Troy, where miscommunication has gone around here is in the past with the other commissioners that have had our portfolio, like Bob and Kent before him. They come to every meeting we had. They took a copy of everything that we had at every meeting and brought them back to the commissioners. And if there was any questions, he come back to us next time.
Right.
That's not happening anymore.
No, I haven't seen much.
Well, Marla is our secretary. She sends an expense sheet once a month to Dale.
You know,
Yeah.
Does that ever get there?
it does. I don't think that's what is in question here, though. That is certainly that's certainly something that can be tightened up, but I think what's in question is the expenditure of general tax dollars on assessed drains and the gross overpayment of engineering costs for that drain.
And I have talked to several engineering companies, John, and they don't think that price has been, they say it's less than what they would charge.
Bob, the initial estimate from this thing was $30,000 to $40,000
And
for the
that-
estimate.
That was for enough to bring it to a vote, and that's
For
what it was. when it
for
got-
the engineering costs. And after that, under normal procedure, there should have been a proposal put forward by the engineering firm and accepted, and that should have contained a hard price.
And of course, I called our attorney last night, and he couldn't be here today, but he said, everything we've done is legal under the law, and he'd be glad to debate that with another lawyer and a judge. He said, because you guys have done nothing wrong. I wouldn't have let you do it.
We're not, as you well know, bureaucracy is a law of almost anything. We're not accusing anybody of doing anything illegal. The problem is, was it beneficial to the taxpaying public to have, let me finish, to have, if you would receive the bid of $30,000 to $40,000 for a project you were doing on your farm, any one of us, and all of a sudden we're up to $160,000, I think personally we would have put a stop to that and questioned why that was happening. That and the fact that the levies haven't been, the minute this thing was voted on, the levies should have been put in place and there should have been an income stream coming into this.
Not according to our law.
Your lawyer is absolutely wrong, and that's why he's not sitting here. I can show you in the century code why that's the
He's
fact.
at another meeting he had to be at today, because he said the century code that you're quoting, part of it says that, but you get further back into it, what we're doing is completely legal.
Bob, again,
And
is
you're
it in
talking
the
about tax
taxpayers?
dollars that somebody's paying in? I don't use the hospital up here, but I pay taxes to keep that thing going.
Bob,
Same difference, John.
the assessed drains are set up so that the people that use the drain pay for the drain.
And we will get that money back.
We've been talking about this for 3 years. I've been talking with you about it. And every time I talk with you about it, you say, I'm gonna fix it.
We're
Every
getting
time
closer.
we have the next talk, it's caught, the values are up higher and higher and higher. Where is this gonna end?
When we get done. I mean,
No.
We just had to add KLJ as an environmental firm now to make them happy. And now they don't know if they're doing the right thing.
Bob, the minute this thing was voted on both those drains, the levy should have started. Then, the work that was performed should have been, a warrant should have been given to whoever performed the work for the money owed. The money that was put up by the people that started the drains should have been issued warrants. Those were only good for 3 years. At that time, they should have been paid off. This thing has been done wrong from the start. I'm not blaming you guys, I'm blaming your lawyer, but someone has to fix this.
We're trying. But he said if you want to debate it with a judge somewhere, he will gladly debate you because there's been nothing done wrong.
This is not a question of legality. This is a question of the county commission being in charge of giving the funds to the water board and making sure the funds are spent as per the voter's discretion. And this is
Disagree with
not,
that.
I
What?
disagree with that.
I disagree with that.
How can you do that?
There's just 3 cases that we talked, we didn't even bring this
How
up
do
at
you
the Upper
disagree with
Cheyenne
that?
meeting the other night.
Because you spend all kinds of money here when we're gone out on the field and everything, we have nothing to say about it.
The vote,
You
yes, the
spend money
voters,
going.
But
anywhere
here's the,
in
there's the
county.
difference, here's the difference. If you read the century code, the ultimate responsibility for what you guys do lies with us. You're not elected officials. And I'm just saying.
We went to this meeting the other night where 3 counties have tried to do the same thing to the water board. And all 3 counties, when they got done coming to the conclusion is when we come up for reappointment, if you don't like what we're doing, you can
No, I
not
agree.
reappoint
I
us. That's your avenue.
I know that.
I think the biggest thing is
But I
communication.
think
myself.
I think we can
I
get
really
along.
do.
I think we can get along. I think it bothers me if general fund money or levied money goes to a legal drain. Because if that legal drain falls on its nose, then all the taxpayers of Griggs County are the ones that lose. And I think
And what would
really
it be
if I
different we issued a
vote,
warrant?
huh?
What would be different about it if we had issued a warrant instead of using the cash that we have on hand? You're still gonna lose, if you lose the money, you lose the money, if you issued the warrant or not.
But the warrant would be to those landowners that are participants in the drain, not
the
to
warrant
the
is
county.
against the levy drain,
Yeah.
not against the general tax dollars.
That's who should be at risk, not all the taxpayers. That's all. That's my.
But if we would just let this run out and be done with it instead of arguing about it, we could get more work done in Troy. I just don't see sitting in here as doing us, anybody any good, but I agree that things should have been, we should have made sure Dale was at every meeting. We should have made sure he'd come back with everything so he knew what was going on.
What we came up with at that Upper Cheyenne meeting, talking to some other counties, and I talked to Tor, is it Bergstrom? Or, anyway, they have one of their members to go to a commission meeting once a month and present everything that's going on.
And
I mean,
they shut down for 10 minutes, he said, because
Yeah.
they both have their meetings at the exact same
Yeah,
time. the same
but-
day. So,
supposedly we're accomplishing that with having one of you sit down there, but I think it'd be more pertinent if someone would come up here and sit down and say, this is what we're looking at. This is what we need to do. What do you guys think? I mean, that's the name, and if this had been going on since the inception,
I agree
it
with
would
you.
be completely different.
But what would happen then if when that member came here and said, we want to issue another check to Renaissance Engineering, and what input would the county commission have if they said no? I mean, I believe at some point during this process, someone should just put their foot down and said, enough is enough. We can't, this is not going in the right direction. We gotta put a stop to this. We gotta back up and see what we've done wrong and fix this. That's all I'm saying.
But
I'm
the
not,
same scenario,
yeah,
if you would have stopped it, which maybe should have been, I'm just saying.
Right.
So then nothing goes through, then there's no chance at getting the money back through taxes or anything. If the drain falls, that money's out the window.
no, absolutely wrong.
Why?
The minute it was voted on, all expenses to that point and future expenses are the burden of the taxpayer. The minute that thing was
After
a
the
yes vote.
construction is complete.
No. This thing could fall on its face right now, and the taxpayers that voted that in are still responsible for every last dime that was spent on
Well,
it.
then they'd be real happy with all the people sitting here, wouldn't they?
They're very unhappy with it because of the money that's been
I
spent.
mean, they wouldn't have a finished product, and they'd be getting charged for it, is
We
what you're
don't see,
saying?
we don't think we're getting a finished product. It's been since 2011.
Well, if it wasn't for a few things out in Bismarck, I mean, we even let bids on this thing to go forward
I
this
understand.
spring. And it was too soon because
They didn't keep up with their
they
promise.
didn't
I know,
keep up with
I know.
their promise out there. I mean, that's how close we thought. I mean, I really breathed a sigh of relief when I said, okay, the bids are finally let on
I
this
know.
thing. Things are coming through. I mean, this is one in particular. This particular drain we're talking about that Thompson Bridge thing. I mean, there's other ones in the works, and as far as I'm concerned, I hope I never see another one a legal drain, but, you know, they walk in and lay it on your desk and say, this is what we want to do. Well, you talked about, we weren't voted, but we were appointed to represent these people in the county, and we can't turn them away and say, no, we don't want anything to do with your legal drain. Is that an option?
Well, maybe we better walk through what the responsibility of the water board is. Yes, it is an option. The legal drains are the procedure for setting them up is to have petitioners put up the initial money to have an engineering report in order to see whether or not the rest of the landowners involved will be willing to vote for the drain. So let's just say it costs $40,000 to have the initial engineering report. Those petitioners are at risk until the vote. So that $40,000 that they put up, they stand to lose that. The reason it was set up that way is because now the petitioners are going to be very cautious about going forward with this thing. They're going to survey the people in the area to be drained to make sure that the $40,000 they spent is going to have a reasonable chance of passing a vote. So that's the first step. Then once that happens, then the tax levy starts, and that's when the water board gets into it. The tax levy should be put on the tax day.
The water board's
after the vote.
administrator of this said that they came to the water board to administrate that. We put together the owners, the vote, the whole 9 yards for these petitioners. You know, so that's what got us involved in this in the first place. They didn't do all that because they don't have the facilities or the know-how or anything to do this. So that we're their administrator to get all this going.
Understand, but you're not there to fight. You're not their financier. The financing is done through the levy method, and then you issue warrants against those levies, and that's where the first mistake was made. Now,
and John, that's where our water board lawyer will disagree with you. He said there's like 2 or 3 different ways to do it, and this is the one that he chose for us to use.
but Bob, ultimately the money comes from the taxpayers of Griggs County, and ultimately that is a decision of the county commission. So that decision can't be made by your lawyer. That has to be made by us, this group of people sitting here, not by your lawyer, because your lawyer doesn't have to come up with the money to take away from the taxpayers. So my advice would be fire your lawyer.
He's the one that has to determine what century code that we're using and follow that direction.
No, Bob, this is more a judgment call. You can do lots of things that are legal that the citizens won't agree with. A lot of things.
I think either way is legal.
It is.
It is. But
Well, we're saying we don't agree with that way,
yeah.
so we
What does your attorney say then?
Huh?
What does the state's attorney say?
He says that ultimately the county commission has the final financial authority over the water board.
Where did he get that?
Right out of the century code. You want me to read it to you?
Well, that makes sense. I mean,
I mean, right out of the
that's where the
century
money
code.
comes from. I mean,
One
that's
thing
kind
you
of
gotta
a no-brainer,
realize-
I would say.
That these drains, you go from step to step and it just costs money every step you take.
But they're not the responsibility of the taxpayer. They're the
Sometimes
responsibility of the people that are involved in the
the drain
drain.
factor.
It isn't
Very
gonna get done.
specific.
It isn't gonna get done unless the water board gets involved.
The water
Very
board
good. It
be
should not be
involved.
done unless the people that are going to pay for it are willing to pay for it. That is the point. That maybe that's where we're wrong here. The water board, it doesn't initiate or ram this thing through. The petitioners do. If they decide to give up, we give up. If they don't want to pay for it, they gave up and it goes away. That's maybe the difference in philosophy here, but that's how it's supposed to work.
John, the way I see it, if it wasn't for the water board working for the petitioners, there'd never be a drain built. Because
Then-
they wouldn't have the connections or the know to which one's the next step, which one's the next step. They wouldn't have those things. And that's what
That is a fact.
we have worked a long time to build up relationships with all of the entities that we have to get help from. Now, like in the case of the Uwin Dam down here, we just found out Wednesday night, if there's not enough funding so we can build it, the health department has got a whole bunch of funding available to pull that thing out and put it back the way it was and restabilize all the banks. And a very little cost to the
Pull it
county.
out.
Yeah. I don't disagree with any of that, Bob. What I disagree with is the use, putting public
Just
funds
the
at
method,
risk.
just the method of funding.
Yeah, that's what the problem is. And you're right, it has a purpose, but let's do it according to the way it's supposed to be done so that the public in general isn't at risk. Let's put the people that are getting the benefit at risk.
And there is a way now that, from what I understand, I've got to try to get together with her. There's a lady at the Bank of North Dakota that has a department that works on this warrant thing, so the interest is way down on them. That's the one thing we've always talked about at our meetings. Well, why do we want to pay interest if we can financially handle it ourselves?
But you don't have the funds. The general fund, tax funds shouldn't be used to handle this. And a warrant is nothing more than I give you a piece of paper and you give me money, and I say that I'm going to pay you back at a certain rate based on the levy that's in place against the drain.
And then, of course, if we borrow it for the high end of the estimate, then you're paying more than you should have.
No, you're wrong again there, Bob. The amount that was determined to be the cost of the project should be the levy. And then on a yearly basis, you determine how much of that levy you're going to use. So you don't wait till the project's over and then decide how much money you're going to levy. You levy the full amount, and then on a yearly basis, only use the amount that's needed.
Because there'll only be, I think it's 53% of what is the cost.
That's fine. It's just like anything else. You have the ability to use it all, but you don't.
Yeah.
The whole problem is this was set up wrong from the start, and I didn't expect you guys to know how to set it up, but your lawyer has given you incorrect information. It might be legal to do it this way, but it's not beneficial to the taxpayer. And how can we keep sending tax dollars that are being spent, in my view, put at risk and overspent in the case of the engineering? I mean, I just totally disagree that should have cost $160,000, and the two engineering firms I've talked to disagree with you. And the fact that we didn't have any estimates or anything else is kind of concerning. And we need to get this somehow back where everything has a negative balance, or a positive balance, and get it back on its feet again, and then make sure we don't do this again until everything's in place.
But we've got to finish the one we got before us somehow. We've got to get it done, or we're not going to get money back. And we're getting to the point now where I got the sovereign nation permits in the mail today, and that's the core line down. That's one of them that was supposed to be here on the 26th.
The notion that it has to be finished to get the money back is completely false.
It is the way it is set up today.
Yeah.
But what we're concerned about is the next time it happens, we would like it to be done differently so that the benefactors.
The next time around we could, but if we'd have known ahead of time that that's the way you wished it, that's the way.
We weren't even commissioners then, Bob.
No, but we did it the way they've always done it here.
Right.
The commission has always gone along with it.
And look at the drains. Look at the 5 drains we have. They are a wreck.
They were horribly designed.
They're financially a wreck. They are structurally a wreck. None of them work.
Well,
I disagree with that there.
the one
They're not a
around
wreck.
the one around
Why do you call them a wreck?
Well, look at this drain around Cooperstown. I mean, I call it a wreck because it doesn't drain, I guess.
It drains.
It's draining now better than it ever
Drains right
has.
through the 200 all the way down there.
And leaves a whole bunch of water sitting on the other side of Cooperstown.
Yeah, and that's because that isn't part of the drain.
That isn't part of it.
I don't know why it wasn't. I wasn't in on building that.
So would that qualify as a wreck then? It was supposed to drain Cooperstown and it doesn't? Come on.
Those acres aren't in it, John. And when you see a map of it, those acres you're talking about are not in it, and they've been trying to get them to join it.
It was proposed to drain Cooperstown. It didn't drain Cooperstown, hence the name, the Cooperstown drain. And it doesn't work.
Why?
Well, I don't know. Bob just told you why, because it doesn't drain the water.
Because that part isn't included in it, and that's what we're trying to get included in it.
They're still working on it. They cleaned part of it last fall, put a new culvert in this year, and cleaned some more of it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And since we talked the last time, I went to the city commission and they did pay
I know,
the deficit, so they're ahead
I saw
of
that.
$3 and
I
some
saw
cents.
that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, I saw that.
but that's been a running battle since the beginning too.
Well, because that wasn't done right either, that should have been a levy, and they should have been mandatory to pay that.
That was up to the city.
No, it was up to the water board.
It was up to the city to, how they were gonna pay for it, and they decided to pay for it through this here extra tax here for the development. That's where it came out of.
I know, but
It had nothing to do with that.
the water board should not have accepted the agreement unless it was a mandated levy,
Go ahead.
for the reason they could back out on it. That's why. That's what a levy is all about, it's mandated.
Yeah, it's got a deal here, a loan right in here says it's that they've gotta pay for the next 10 years. This year is their last year. Okay.
The loan was in the,
Pay for this
the
year.
loan was in the water board's name.
Yeah.
They didn't tie the city to anything. It was just a handshake.
Oh, there's
Okay,
there was a
appreciate
legal agreement written up.
There's an
Okay.
agreement written up. There was an agreement written up.
You cannot forward budget. The city council can do for 1 year, same as the county. They can't forward budget. That's the reason for bonds, that's the reason for levies. It's just the way it is. I didn't make the rules. I don't even like the rules.
We had a group come forward and ask about another legal drain, and I told them straight out, unless you got $150,000 to sit on for 6-7 years, just call it a farmer drain and do it through the NRCS. And
I
that's
agree,
what-
but-
And that's what they're doing.
And believe me, hit it right in the head. The water board's job is administrative. That's correct.
I think
But
it's-
actually, we have no choice. If somebody petitions us, we have to go through all the paperwork and do
Oh, I
it.
think,
You know, that's
Yeah,
part
we
of the
have to,
ballgame.
we have to do that.
that's your
Yeah,
job, is to
And that's
facilitate.
basically why I
Your
asked
job
them
is
if
to
they had
facilitate those things.
$150,000 to sit on.
You have to do the administrative. You do
Yeah.
not have to finance it. You don't have to put one dime into it. That's the point. I agree with you. You're right, but you don't have to finance it, and that's where we got into problems here.
Well, there's one other problem. And before we leave today, that motion to take our checkbook, I want to rescind it myself.
Mhm. But you have that ability.
Okay, I'm asking.
Mhm. I duly noted,
Okay,
but that didn't change anything until there was a vote of the people here.
are you gonna vote then?
I have no idea. Let me ask you one thing. How does having the county commission in charge of your checkbook hinder your job?
Because we have to send a voucher up here. And if we send a voucher up here for some engineering deal or something and it gets turned down, then what happens? We
Then-
never ever get a chance to deal with that engineer again. Or entity.
Hmm? Well, would you would never have a voucher turned down if when it was sent up here, the dollars were included in the budget you'd submitted the year before. So if we approve the budget, then any voucher that complies with that budget wouldn't be turned down.
Complies, yeah.
Yeah. It's so, I
You
don't
can't
know.
look forward in a
You're gonna do
budget
anything
though to anticipate that you're gonna have to spend money over here and here. You just said it a little while ago, you can't look forward and predict stuff like that. And you can't if you come up, and if you don't have something set aside in your budget for an absolutely different thing that comes up at the water board, which comes up all the time. You can't say, well, we don't have that in the budget, so we can't do it. You can't do that.
Sure. The
How can
drain-
you do it?
Well, because you determine on a long-range plan what you're gonna spend on this project, and then you determine how
No,
to
not-
finance
He's
it.
talking about projects like
Any project that
a
comes
road
up,
got wiped out.
something
and-
else.
And somebody comes to us for help for the, for the culverts or something. How are you gonna know ahead of time that you're gonna spend $12,000 on a culvert?
Within the county budget process, those types of things are handled by moving money from one portion of the budget to another. So if you have an unexpected expense, number one, you could have you've got a culvert budget, right?
For some projects, not for emergency ones, we don't.
You can have for reserve.
Yeah.
And maybe you guys shouldn't be buying those culverts. Maybe you should come to the county and it should come out of the road budget.
And
They
when,
have-
when we've asked Wayne, he's
Yeah.
never got any money.
We
That's
never
why
did any money out of Wayne.
You're talking for a township then, probably?
Yeah.
We're just involved in one up at Jesse right now.
It's a township one or a private one?
Township, well, actually, when you get right down to it, it's a natural waterway, so it's, if you wanna go follow the letter of the law, it goes right back to the commissioners, not to the township.
County's involved in the county road too, aren't they, Bob?
Yeah.
Hope so.
So they're called the county road.
Federal aid, so I would imagine he's got some federal aid money for the, but we paid for the culvert there too.
Why?
Because Wayne never had any money in his budget, unless that one gets fixed, we won't ever get Norway Lake, and actually now Jesse Lake is hooked up to that outlet too on its own, so they're all running that. And they're filling up Irene's and
The townships can buy culverts too, can't they?
if they have the money, but most of them don't, you know.
But anyway, back to the question, how would that impede your ability to function as a water board if we're writing the checks? I don't see that.
So what's the purpose of you writing the checks? Don't you trust us in what we do?
I
Is
don't.
that the whole damn thing here?
No,
No.
we're.
Well, that's
we
bullshit.
haven't- We haven't gotten any
Either
information.
you're
We don't get
saying-
any, we don't get any information.
Well,
And
that,
Dale
we've
gets it all,
tried,
you
we've
know, he
tried.
should be coming to you with it.
I just brought up, if somebody would come up here and sit with you guys every month
Right.
and let you know exactly what we're looking at, because, and we could coordinate it, like Steele County, they do it the same identical time. We could do it, we could have our meeting a week before you guys, so we know what we're looking at, come up here and sit and say, this is what we're looking at, what do you think? You know, but that to me is the way it should be done, if we want to work together on all this, you know?
Yep, I agree. My question is, in this instance where we're kind of screwed up here now and we're way more money into some of these costs on this drain, how do we resolve then if I disagree and the water board wants to spend the money, a certain amount of the commissioners don't want to spend the money? How do we arrive?
I would say it'd be a majority. You know,
Here's
whatever the
what-
commissioners
Here's what we
decide.
can do in this problem that we have right now, John. I'll get a hold of that lady and I'll apply for that warrant. And then we'll be covered.
No, Bob, you don't understand warrants. Warrants are issued by the water board to the people giving the water board money.
Yeah, but there is a program through the State Bank of North Dakota to apply for these warrants at a cheaper rate than you normally get. And Brad has been looking at getting me hooked up to talk to this guy.
No, the warrant system as it relates to these water boards goes way back to when the county was created, because there needed to be ability to raise money. So there was a tax levy put in place, and then the entity, the water board or the county commissioner, could issue a taxpayer basically an IOU.
Yep.
And that IOU was for the amount of money that was the taxpayer gave voluntarily
somebody's
to the
gonna make
entity,
that good.
plus the interest, right?
But somebody has to make that good when
Yeah.
you're building something.
So the Bank of North Dakota must be providing.
Providing the
funds.
cash funds for it.
Possibly,
They
but
probably,
that's
they
not
probably prepare the warrant.
right.
And I don't know, you know, if that's the big question, I'll go forward with doing that.
But it can be done. It could have been done. It could be done right now, because if you would have started levying the money the minute the vote was a yes, you would have had a surplus of money built up that you could have issued warrants against. You could also issue warrants against future taxes. That's why there's a 3-year lapse. So the warrant is good for 3 years. So say I came to you and I said, I'll give you $10,000, and you gave me a warrant. That's payable in 3 years. That should give you time with the tax levy in place to collect that $10,000 to pay the warrant. That's the way the system is supposed to work.
And my guess is the reason that Tom chose for us to go the other way is
It's easier.
he's probably done enough of these drains that he knows that you're not gonna get done in 3 years' time. get your permits and everything in order?
It doesn't matter. Then the process starts, it rolls again. It rolls again because there's a constant stream of money coming in. So you can roll them as far forward as you can look, 3 years, you can roll those warrants. So you're basically borrowing against the tax stream. And again, I don't expect that everybody should know everything on this, but it's not, when the taxpayer's at risk and you keep falling back to the thing that it's legal, that doesn't really cut it. I mean, I believe that Tom isn't doing his job. I believe that this should be done to protect the taxpayer and protect you people and protect the people that have put this money up. And that isn't being done. And that's the concern. It isn't that we think you guys are dishonest or trying to do something offhanded. I think it's that we're not on the same page, and somehow we have to get this thing back to square one where it's self-sustaining. And I think Lee's idea is excellent. If the bill is a consensus to be paid of the majority of the county commission and has been approved by the water board, I think that's an excellent idea.
It's not working out well for the Barnes County Water Board doing that, because I know they've taken up to 2 months to pay their share on some projects with them because of timing with the commissioner meetings, their meetings.
We have a
And
meeting
then
every
they
two,
don't get-
we have a
yeah,
meeting
they
every
do
2
too.
weeks. Well, but that week I can't.
It never
can't
seems
speak
to
for them.
work out for them. I don't know if it's a problem between the 2 secretaries working down there or whatever.
So you were talking, you got some permits in the mail today or something?
Yep,
That's for the Carnick drain? Or the,
TBO4, that's for,
so is that the end of the end of the end of the
no, we're still waiting for KLJ to come up with the plan for the mitigated acres.
mitigation?
Supposedly, when that comes up, they sent it to this Tony out at the Corps, and she's supposedly gonna
And-
issue
Yeah.
the permit, the
And
final
then
permit.
there's one
That's-
from the EPA yet, but he promised me as soon as Tony mails him the permit that he'll have a 2-day turnaround on his desk. So
We've
we've
been
been waiting the
promised for this
last,
one
we've
from
been
Tony
promised for
for-
a long time. But
I think, some of the projects we do with the bridges and the culverts and stuff, we have to have the same permits.
But
We never get involved with the permitting process. Our
Yeah, but
engineer
the
takes
difference-
care of it. We never even hear about it.
yeah,
It's
the
just
difference
done.
being, John, is one of the bidders on this TBO4 is a son of an old family friend of mine from back when I was in high school, grade school even. But we talked on the phone the other day, and he said, permits seem to fly right through those places unless it says farm drain on them. Then they seem to hang on to it for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. The only thing you guys have got going for you, he said, is you don't have a DNR like Minnesota does, because once the Corps is done in Minnesota, then you have 2, 3 years of fighting with the DNR to get it done.
Nevertheless, I think the fact that this drain is in turmoil, the Silver Creek drain is in turmoil, and the engineering firm is the same on both of them, I think there's a common problem. And that's just speculation on my part, but again, if you and I were financing this project with our own money, I think we'd be looking long and hard at what was causing the problems, and I think any one of us would have fixed the problem a long time ago.
I guess if I would have never built this on my own land, you know, because of all the problems that I know are gonna happen. But we were petitioned, so
That wasn't the point I was making.
and I guess we wouldn't even wanna begin to turn it over unless it was audited. And we have an audit at the end of the year every year, so if that was the case, the end of the year would be when we'd wanna do it.
Well, I think turnover is kind of a generic word. I think what we were looking for is input on what checks were written and the ability to look at the check and see if it was outside the scope of the budget and be able to deny.
I
think
guess,
that's I mean,
input on our expenses sounds a whole lot different than give me your checkbook, John.
well, isn't it the same? If the county commission has the right to veto or deny a check being written, that's the same thing.
You just said input, you didn't say the right to deny when I answered.
No, that's what I
your
asked Lee
question.
about, and Lee said if it was a vote of the majority of the county commission, that was acceptable.
Oh, Jesus, that scared the hell out of me.
Ultimately, the county commission has that authority. So,
But it's, the county commission does not have the authority to act as the water board.
Nope.
And you guys are the only ones in this county that can't be on it. So you gotta have representatives.
Oh,
that you
absolutely.
respect.
I get
Absolutely. Right?
And we gotta work together.
I agree.
It all comes down to that.
We cannot be the water board. The Century Code specifically says the county commissioner
Yeah.
cannot be on the water board.
They're about the only guys that can't be in there.
Right. Also, if you break down the budget, the Bayer budget of the water board as far as the county commission is concerned, it's really just for the administrative purposes of the water board. So that would involve the salaries of the board members, the secretary, the treasurer, travel and things like that. It doesn't have to
That's just
include.
what Steele County went through over there.
Yeah.
And the commissioners lost that deal. They were trying to control who they hired for secretary and whatnot. And,
No, you can't control who they hire. You can control whether or not they do hire. Because all the commission has to do is delete the secretary's budget and they
Yeah,
can't hire.
but they had the budget already in
I
place. and
I understood,
hired, so
Bob.
it's done for this year. I mean, that's.
But that's why this conversation is kind of, do we have control of the checkbook or input, if you want, whatever you want right now? Or do we wait 6 months and have ultimate control of it, but through the budget process? That's really what it comes down to. It's easier to have you guys sitting here, and as Lee said, send somebody to the meeting, or I can come to your meeting, and it doesn't matter. If you're willing to let it be a consensus of the county commission on whether something major should be paid or something should be paid, that's the only authority we have anyway. We can't tell you policy, we can't do anything else. All we have is fiscal.
There is,
authority.
and apparently Dale told us that everybody up here agreed that we had to go ahead with this environmental one for $30,000.
We don't have the ability to dictate policy to you.
But Dale told us you guys agreed that we had to keep going forward with this environmental impact thing from KLJ.
No, I think we said you gotta do what you gotta do. We
Oh,
won't,
okay.
I think I stated the same
the
thing. We don't have the
mitigation study,
ability.
you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, and that bill will be coming the end of July, and that was $30,000.
I know.
And you have no choice really, but they give you a list of who they'll take the mitigation studies from, so that's the guys you gotta use.
Right.
Other than that, they won't agree with the study, so.
They'll take it, but they won't accept it.
But-
Yeah, they'll take
That's
it.
what it
but won't
comes down to.
accept it, so.
I
They have
agree.
certain ones they'll accept.
I agree, right now, there's no choice. I don't agree that at the time that you started, there wasn't a choice. There should have been a contract in hand with a hard number with this thing through to completion. We asked KLJ when they were sitting here, if you would have taken this project, would you have given us a hard number? Would you have given us a guarantee that nothing was paid until this thing was completely permitted? And he said, yes, of course we would. That's what should have happened. And the fact that it didn't happen has gotten us into this mess.
It seems any project that I've had of that scope too over the years, there's been a scoping document.
Yep.
So it kind of, the firm would say, okay, here's what we can expect through this whole process, and this is what we can do. And if they can't do part of it, then they'll tell you that. And if the next guy can, you take that into consideration when you hire them. It seems to me that none of that was done here. That's why now we need a mitigation study, and the engineering firm that was selected to do the drain can't provide that service. So luckily, KLJ was willing to do it.
In the beginning, both the NRCS and the Corps agreed that the mitigated acres could come from plugged farm drains in the area, and we had those lined up. Now all of a sudden, the Corps decides that no, plugging farm drains ain't gonna work. We wanna build new mitigated acres. So I don't know how any engineering firm would have known that ahead of time.
So if somebody had, who decided that that wasn't good enough?
Or
The Corps.
So the Corps can
Yeah, only
overrule
20.
The Corps can overrule.
They can overrule NRCS.
NRCS.
So then why wouldn't the Corps scope the project?
And that's
to
the
begin
problem, they won't. They won't even tell you what to do until you do something, and they, no, that isn't what we want. Matter of fact, when we finished up Cooper Drain here, that was about I just got in at the very end of it, but that was about a 3-year battle to get the culverts under the road because of a handful of cattails in the wrong place with the Corps.
Because it's Cherry Creek.
One of the first things that happens too is that the Corps and the NRCS, they don't want to take authority.
No.
They're
They go back
bureaucrats.
and forth probably for a whole year.
they say he's got authority, he's got
It happens.
I understand. I just.
Plausible deniability.
If
The
you
big
look,
goal, that's the big word
Yeah.
right there.
They don't
if you
really
look,
fight that.
it shouldn't be your guys' battle. If this was done, there's engineering firms that specialize in doing this, that's who we need to hire. They will take it right from the start to the finish, they'll guarantee you a price, they'll guarantee the permits. They will not have to, you guys won't have to make a phone call to the Corps engineers or anything else. They will handle it lock, stock, and barrel. And before they even take it on, they'll tell you what it's gonna cost, and it'll be done. And that's what has to be done.
KLJ, since this has started, John, they've asked me to call out there and talk to her.
Bob, we are in contact with KLJ because they're our engineers. They told us what it's gonna cost to do this. We asked them specifically, are you gonna get this all done? Yes. Do you need any help from us? No. This is what it's gonna cost. We're done.
Yeah. But
So,
the same guy that told you that asked me to call out there and get some paperwork from Tony.
so, anyway,
KLJ has never had a contract where it's never been cost plus.
well, I suppose they do, but they don't
Yeah.
with us. And they wouldn't with you if you didn't sign it. A cost plus means both parties agree to that. A cost plus contract is agreed upon at the start, because you don't know the cost of what's gonna take place, and everybody's up front and say, oh, I don't know, and I don't know, but we're willing to sign a cost plus contract. A cost plus contract can't be halfway through it and, oh, I forgot something. Cost plus contract is a contract specifically designed at the start of the project.
You've never run into a contract where they got partway through and they said, we never ever thought this was ever gonna come up.
If this contract is signed and binding, then it's the responsibility of the person that's due to the work.
Yeah.
I've been in contracting, I've been on the other side of contracting my whole life with the federal government. If I screw up and bid a contract, and I didn't put funds in for this and this and this, they don't say, well, sorry, we're gonna pay you. They say, whose name's at the bottom of that contract? Get the work done.
Somebody's eventually gonna pay for it if it isn't over.
What's that?
Somebody will eventually pay for it if it is over anyway, one way or the other.
I don't-
It'll get tacked on somewhere along the line.
Not if you have a set price. I mean, yes, the engineering firm might pay for it, but that doesn't mean the taxpayers have to pay for it. That's the whole purpose of bids, that's the whole purpose of a budget, that's the whole purpose of having everything in line before you start, so you know the eventual cost. I mean, you and I can go put a building up, and we don't have to have a contract if we're willing to pay the cost of the carpenters and everything else that goes along. But in a public sector, that can't be done. And that's why projects take so long, and that's why they're years out. You guys have the right frame of mind, you're trying to get things done for the county, but at a certain point, we gotta make sure that we protect the taxpayers also.
Okay.
Well, Troy, you got hay to get to, I got the same thing to get home and get something done with it.
I hope them guys are doing it without me, man.
Yeah, you hope you're getting out of work, that's what you.
I hope I get to,
We will bring what we've garnered here today to our meeting Wednesday, and we'll get back to you.
perfect.
How's that sound?
Yep.
You aren't going to do anything about that checkbook then? Motion?
What do you want done?
Rescind it.
Well, I'm not gonna make that motion.
Okay.
I mean, you can ask the rest of them if they're going to, but I'm one person here.
We can talk about that later too.
You've already damaged our reputation. People come up, what did you ever do now, you guy, water report guys? Because they want your checkbook back.
Did you tell them why?
Hmm?
Did you tell them why?
Well, I told them that you made the motion.
Did you tell them why I made the motion?
No.
Well, why don't you tell them that $180,000 has been spent on engineering when it was originally supposed to be 30 or 40? Tell them why. I'll tell them why if they ask me.
Okay, well, I'll tell them to ask you.
I just told everybody it's a public meeting.
Yeah.
That's why. I don't believe it's anybody's fault. I believe we got to fix it. If you took it personally, that must mean that you had some involvement in it.
Mm.
Well, I mean, that
We
can
all
be the
got
only reason.
involved. Every one of us have an involvement in that.
Well, so we don't want to fix it? We want to keep going that way?
It's just that's the way it's gonna get done. It's the only way it's gonna get done.
I disagree.
Okay?
I disagree. I think the way it's going to get done now is having KLJ come step in, and I think it's going to get done.
KLJ is one of the most expensive engineering firms around.
No, more is better.
More is more.
More engineering.
More is more.
More is more.
And I wouldn't hire more.
No, but if we want to dare say we accomplished anything here, we accomplished one thing. We were a master of hindsight on this particular drain.
Yep.
And it isn't too hard to be hindsighted.
No.
Foresight is out there. And what I do think we accomplished, we just sat down and talked about it.
Yep.
We never have.
Nope.
Never have.
Nope.
And I think if this would have come up, whatever, 2 years ago or whenever you guys took over, I don't know when the hell that was, but, you know, in this time, but if we'd have done something like that, it'd probably been all different.
Let me qualify that.
You know.
This hasn't been talked about in a formal meeting.
No,
Bob and I have talked about this constantly for the last 3 years, the same discussion.
Right.
Maybe it hasn't gotten to you guys,
Yeah.
but we've had this discussion, I've had this discussion ongoing with Bob.
but I think it should have been done in a formal discussion here at a meeting.
I agree with you, Lee. And if
I
we would have
really
all
do.
been walking the
It's
same,
upfront and personal.
we'd have been on the
You know,
same
hearsay and
page.
innuendo is
Let-
squat as far as I'm concerned.
Let me further qualify that. I've asked Bob on numerous occasions to come to the county commission meeting and talk about this. The only way it got to the county commission meeting was by me making the motion that we take away your checkbook. That was the only thing that got people moved off the ball in order to come here.
There was 3 people to come here, and
And
I
so
had other things
I've
going on
tried.
that day.
no one, it's been a constant stall process here. I'm glad we got together. I think it can get worked out now, but this is not just new. This has been going on for 3 years now. Without your
I guess I'm not
knowledge,
saying that.
I know
I'm
that.
just saying we accomplished something and I think
Yep.
it should go forward that way.
Yep, I
I
agree.
couldn't care less what happened.
I have not told these guys.
Yeah, but that's what we're trying to do, is to trying to get it to this point, and whatever it took to get it there, it's now there.
Well,
And so if we
put
can
a star in
accomplish
your
something
chest,
with
you got
one-
it there, John. So you get the gold star.
Well, what else are we supposed to do?
I'm not. I'm just.
I mean,
I can
I
be
tried,
just like
I
you
tried,
can.
I tried. Maybe
You
I
know.
should have called you, and
Well,
pleaded
no.
my case to you.
You know,
But I didn't. I went to the chairman and pleaded my case to him,
But-
and nothing happened.
And I told these guys at our next meeting what you'd asked, and nobody's seen. Everybody was intent on getting the project done, not trying to stall something out.
I never said stall. But it just keeps going on in my opinion. And let's get it.
it does in every one of our opinions, though. Too. That is such a
Yeah,
pain. That whole situation down there,
yeah, I know.
and it all originated in a bad situation in the first place. So.
Out of a bad situation. Yeah. And then can we work on getting as long as we're doing this, let's get the water board meetings here so we can quit paying the monthly rent. I mean, we've got a place to have the meetings here, but nothing's happened
Is
yet.
that room completely empty now?
Sure.
We
No,
checked
there's
on it quite a while ago. When
there's
you
a
first
few
said it
things-
was open, it was full.
whenever you guys are ready to move in, we'll get it all set up for you. And
And we have a lot of tables, chairs, these type of chairs, that room would be filled up with just those.
How come?
chairs. Huh?
How come?
Because we just rent a room.
Oh, you had to furnish that room?
Yeah.
But I mean, we can put them in the old social services building. There's all kinds of space to put stuff like that. The big thing is get out of there so we're not paying $500 a month and rent.
But there's other places, you know, people in the courthouse that could use new chairs or something like that, and you know, we could kind of, you know, get them places.
Yeah,
Their
we have
conference.
wall space.
We do need chairs because there's a lot of people
We
who
have a
show up
lot
at our
of people
meetings.
at our
So
meetings.
that's
So we
the
could
thing.
keep those chairs.
And we do have more stackable chairs in there, you know, and stuff like that for you guys and stuff. So, but we have the room reserved right now
No.
for you guys for each of your meetings. I got the schedule of your meetings, so this room is reserved for
it
all
is.
of your meetings.
It's already up here.
Yeah, yeah,
And then we have to have wall space. We've got to have maps
yeah.
for our meetings.
There's a
We had
projector.
even
And
talked
if you-
about it one time, trying to find one of them old jobbies like the country schools used to have, where you could pull down the map you were working on.
If you want, we could also.
Troy doesn't know what a country school is.
They
Give
had
me a
those, they
break.
had those deals you could go over to the wall and fold them out and pull down the map of the country you were working at. So you could find something like that.
I was looking, you don't have them digitized.
No.
We could take pictures and then display them on that screen and on this
You could.
screen.
Yep.
Do you have a projector for here?
No, can I have?
Some of
Travis
these
have it?
things we got are 8, 9, 10 feet long. you know.
But in that whole wall, I mean, you can put tape on the wall and put it up there.
It would be so nice to use that screen with a
It would be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You don't have a projector.
Not yet. No. I think Travis was gonna price them out and then bring one to your guys' attention. But
Supposed to mount there, isn't it?
So
Yeah.
Barnes
Yeah.
County has got the same screen in their general meeting room at their DOT shop or whatever you
Yeah.
call it. And that one they run off a laptop.
Yep.
But they still gotta have a projector. They control the projector with the laptop. I'm sure they got some kind of Wi-Fi connection.
We had a question about the copy machine.
Yeah.
They're gonna charge us so much?
I think Gloria talked to Jan about like, you know, we would charge you so much a page or something like that. It's like $25 a page, or sorry, 25 cents. Sorry, I'm sorry, 25 cents a page.
Commissioner's
You're gonna get your
retirement.
money back in a hurry.
Huh?
Commissioner's retirement.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Or if you guys would, you know, my thought was if you guys were going to save that money from doing rent, if you would use that towards purchasing another
Yeah, our
printer,
Our copy is getting bad.
Yeah,
Tongues hanging out.
yeah.
so that then we wouldn't have
So I
to.
guess we'll buy our own.
No, it could just be a percentage. It could just be a percentage of the total cost of the copier. There's no use to. I mean, if there's 100,000 copies made in a year, and you guys make
10,000.
10,000 of them, you just pay the percentage of that for the machine. I mean,
How do you split the cost between the departments now?
how do you
It's all
split-
general.
Well, then it's all general.
So then we won't pay anything.
You don't pay nothing.
Bingo.
I think that'd be the best way, yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, like, we have reams of paper.
You want it, yeah.
But,
Well, you can buy the paper.
yeah, that'd be fine.
No, if we don't split the cost now, then we don't. Make
Well, the social services has their
Right,
own
the
printer,
cop, right, yeah.
and then all of us have the general people have their own general.
Well, I mean, but these are falling under that. They're general people now. They just have their own. They just have their own office.
The taxpayers are gonna pay for it ultimately.
All the
Exactly.
taxpayers.
So you don't want to keep them separate. Like you guys were kind of wanting the road department to be separate and VSO to be separate. This isn't something to be separated.
Well, we don't have the road department pay for copies.
Road department has their own printer down there.
Right.
Every department has their own. Like VSO has his own little mini printer, and so everybody's kind of got their own. It's just
But
like
we're talking copy
We're
machine.
talking copy machine.
Yep.
We could buy some cheap.
Well, I mean-
piece of crap when we gotta do 1 or 2 or 3 copies for somebody so we don't have to run down the hall.
No, I mean,
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever you guys are
But I mean,
wanting
if
to
it-
do,
if
but
it-
it's just that's how.
If the county commission gives the water board money in their budget for a copy machine, or we just
Yeah.
It doesn't make, let's just
Well, the
make the
lease on
copies.
the lease on them is ridiculous.
Let's just make the copies and don't worry about it.
You know, that's what I think.
And one other thing, Samantha, you sent this letter to me about direct deposit,
Yes.
and the reason we didn't sign the credit one, or whatever, one,
It said it give you the right to make withdrawals of
Yeah.
out of our account.
and the board,
On paper,
That was came from Connie,
Okay.
but yeah.
and the board
That's the reason we didn't
decided
sign
not
it.
to.
Okay.
Well, we would never be in charge of that part of it anyway.
No, but
Yeah,
that
I
was
think-
a separate page, I think.
I think that's like if there's a, somebody comes in after the fact and gets an abatement or something, we
Yeah.
take the money back from the levied units.
But it would be a little better if we wrote a check, so we had a hard copy of,
It
Sometimes
does.
it's
We don't
12
really go.
cents, but
yeah.
We don't really go back into your account and take it back. We would
Take-
then,
Leave it off the next one.
right, we would then
Oh,
not
makes-
give you the
Which
money
makes more
next
sense
time.
than us signing a paper that you can go take whatever you want out of our account, you know, and that's what I didn't get signed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't-
you can
I
stop and
don't
talk
think
to Connie
the
about that.
county
No, we don't
needs
take
to be
money.
an authorized signer on your checking account.
No.
No.
And their budgets are different than other budgets. Once money is levied and given to the water board, the county has no say over what's done with that money.
No.
There's no clawback on that. Other departments, at the end of the year, the balance comes back to the county treasury. The water board isn't that way. Once the money is went your way for a purpose, it stays there.
They don't get paid as it comes in.
Hmm?
They do.
They do get paid as it comes in, but I mean, it's
So
a
if there's
one-way
if
street.
there's an abatement, they might not get that money.
They might get a little bit of abatement, but what I'm saying is, at the end of the year, their balance doesn't necessarily get used against what's gonna be levied.
Oh.
It doesn't get used as zero. Yeah, you don't go to zero because we have the ability to build up a reserve to use for other projects.
That, and it says that once money is levied for a specific project, the money
And
stays
stay.
there until the project is completed.
Pretty much like a township does when they buy a CD
Yeah.
for building roads later on.
But on the same stroke, it doesn't guarantee the levy either.
No.
Okay.
Well, we will go back to our full meeting then, and maybe John Deere's got my part, Cooper Motors got my parts figured out.
So do you want one or more of us to come to your meetings then? Does that make it easy? Is that what you're asking?
What would be the easiest thing?
We
is
need
if
more
when we give-
communication somehow.
When our secretary prints out everything and gives it to Dale, is if he took it back to you guys, that would be the easiest thing.
Or have an
Or
alternative
have-
person.
or if
You know,
he's
if
not
Dale's
gonna do
not
that, we
coming,
could have
somebody else
somebody,
could come.
yeah.
But I don't think if
Or
it came
or
down to
somebody-
money stuff
if-
and that is questionable, I don't think
If she-
there'd be a problem somebody coming up here.
If you guys if you have your meetings here and you have a copy of that kind of stuff, somebody should just stop and give it to her so it ends up in that packet. That'd be
And I'm
easy.
sure Marla would.
Oh, yeah,
do
heck
that.
yeah.
There'd be no problem with that. And then we don't have to worry about it.
Because if
Change
it's
in
in,
hands.
Getting brought back.
if it's in our
Straight to-
board packet, then we're gonna see it every 2 weeks
Yeah.
or however.
So to take that next step, then before you wrote a check, could you send the proposed checks to us?
If it was other than
And
anything
approve-
of normal,
Normal monthly.
other than normal monthly expenses, you're talking about building projects that you want.
What do you, I mean, normal
I
monthly
mean, we have
expenses would be.
mileage. we-
Mileage and
That's
per
fine,
diem.
yeah.
I
We
mean,
have
I don't-
electricity, well, we won't have electricity, we
Right.
haven't had electricity, but I mean, we have normal monthly stuff, we have dues that get sent off to like, what's that, Water Users Association
Yeah.
one, and there's 5, 6 of them that we pay dues.
No, I mean, but what would engineering fees be considered normal monthly?
No.
Well,
I don't-
yeah, there is, almost every water board I know of has a lawyer and an engineer sit at every meeting, just to answer questions. Now, this may all change now because of the new drain laws. We found out that that's not a very good law for people downstream if somebody wants to dump tile water on them. Before, we used to be able to take the lawyer and engineer and figure out right there at the meeting how long it is to get to food line. But
Mhm.
and how many miles and how many landowners and stuff, and what letters had to be written. Well, now it sounds like that's pretty much all gone, and the downstream people, if they don't like it, are gonna have to hire an engineer and a lawyer and sue them. The one that's dumping the water out.
You don't have to have flowage easements for tile water anymore?
Nope, that
There's
went
a
away.
new legislature.
All
That
right, I'm
went
gonna call
away.
Ellingson's this afternoon.
Yeah, well, that's that
You
88.
better call them, because they got a lot of money in there out at the Capitol, I tell you what, to get that law passed.
That 80-acre thing is still
Yeah.
haunted. You know, they never truly got that defined, but the downstream notifications, that's gone.
Well, they got 30 days to notify the water board. The water board has 30 days to notify the landowners.
Yeah.
And that the landowner has 30 days to do something about it. If not, it's gone.
Yeah, it's a 90-day waiting thing almost, like from the time you.
Of course, the amount of water out of a tile pump's pretty insignificant.
But I don't think it's necessary to have a lawyer or an engineer on staff or on retainer like that. For a project, yes, where it's bid and then you can control the costs, but I just don't see where that's a necessary expense, but.
Seems,
There's almost every meeting comes up with a question that a lawyer should answer, should be there to answer. Almost every meeting.
Is the question something that the water board has authority over, though? That's one of the main things that,
Well,
again,
You know, I
administrative.
just said this thing really changed now in this last biennium, and that takes place this month, right? When they make their.
usually July 3rd they take
Yeah.
effect.
But one thing with road ditches, they have to have permission for road,
Yeah, they have
road
permission
ditches,
to pump in road
county,
ditches.
township. That is,
But
To
dumping
use
in
it
your
as a,
neighbor's
you know,
backyard
mode
is
of
okay.
water.
Well, then that affects just about everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, eventually.
I believe one other thing that changes, the water board has to go to school now. Don't we?
I don't
No, I
know
don't
if
think
that
that
one
one
didn't
passed.
make it.
Didn't they make it?
No.
What kind of school?
Water.
Just like the new commissioner meetings. It was for new water board members, the way they're trying to do it. But,
It's in the century code that we have to take some training every year,
yeah,
but they send out DVDs if you don't want to go to the seminars.
but let's get going. We'll
Okay.
talk it over the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Can we please go back to the tax director's, tax director, please?
Oh, we're done with that.
Connie emailed me a few things.
What's that?
Oh, Connie must.
Connie forgot that she won't be here July 7th. Do you want Christy and Paige to come to the 7th, or should you just wait till the 21st meeting?
This is for the budgets, you mean, or?
Tax director.
Tax director.
You know, she was gonna bring back a list of people and a list of tasks that they were gonna do.
Oh.
It can wait till the 21st. That's
Okay.
fine.
Could you also bring up about the page, she thought it was 35, about that percentage of the 89.6096, if they want to leave it at that percentage or change it? And that was on page 35, she was correct.
Well, I think Ron's, weren't used to saying we should increase it by 0.5% or something, so it's at,
Yeah. I think last year I made a motion to increase it to 90.5%. I guess I'd make a motion to do the same thing again this year, and I think that's exactly what I did last year.
it has to be at 90.5.
No, it has to be at 90.0, so I mean, it could be.
If we raised it 0.5%, it would be 90.1.
Yeah, well, that'd be all right. If you want, I'll make a motion to raise it 0.5%, I guess 90.609, or whatever the heck.
90.106, right?
90.1096, raise it 0.5%.
I suppose Connie needs to know that.
Okay, say that number again, I'm sorry.
Well, to increase.
Just raise it 0.5%.
Yeah, increase it 0.5%.
It'd be 90.106. 1096.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
This is agricultural land, right?
Correct.
Did you have a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Been moved by Ron, seconded by Sean to increase the value of the agricultural lands in the county by 0.5% in order to comply with the state guidelines. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Ron?
Aye.
Sean?
No.
John?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried.
Sean votes no.
You
Yep.
seconded the motion, you
I know.
bozo. You just wanted to talk about it?
You said nay?
Said nay,
Okay.
Oh, wow.
because I think it's wrong.
I haven't had any sleep or very much to eat today, so. There.
So there.
My hay crew hasn't had any lunch yet because I had a whole bunch of burgers made up for them and I didn't get to cook them. Senior citizens letter.
But did you have one?
Huh?
Did you have one?
No.
I move we take a 5-minute break if we're gonna be here more than about 10 minutes.
It's up to
I'll
you.
second that.
Third. All in favor? Motion passes. Senior citizens letter. I don't really know how to respond to this because it's not really a quantifiable request. Or do they just want a blank check?
I don't know anything about it. My question is, are those senior citizens buildings public property?
Don't know.
If they are, I would imagine.
Who would know that? Connie?
Yeah, it should be, or even the recorder, I suppose, would have,
Oh, sure.
who has the,
You know, there's certainly public dollars in them, the public's probably responsible for maintaining them.
Don't know.
I found some money, it's on page 5. See who signed the letter. Back page, very last page, you can see who signed the
Oh,
letter.
yeah, I
request.
did.
oh, the CD check. I get it now, so I'm a little slow here, so.
I still don't know how to respond to that. Samantha, can you find out, number one, if we own those buildings or if they are the property of those individual senior citizens clubs? And then I would like to know what their wishes are, I guess. I don't know.
Should I just ask one of them to come to the next meeting?
I think they're just remodeling the bathrooms.
If they're not ours, then I don't know that we can do that.
No. Like the fair buildings, are they the counties?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Because the windows and stuff that they put in that barn, they were donated.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, all the,
No, I mean, anything you could donate to a public entity.
Right.
Yeah. It's just, it just comes down to the responsibility. If something happens in a public building, ultimately the entity is responsible.
I bet you the fair
when
board.
we have them insured and everything. all
I bet
that
you the
stuff.
fair board owns that stuff.
That's what
Let me ask Connie real quick. I'll email her really quick, like see if she'll.
Well, we need more information anyway, so we don't need to know that
No.
right this minute.
What other information would you like me to
What the
get?
scope
Who
of the
owns the
project
senior
is.
citizens building and
What's it gonna cost?
They didn't give us a number when they asked us to help them.
What looks like there's some other fundraising thing going on to supplement it.
Yep. New courthouse, old courthouse?
I got a phone call this morning from Debbie, and she is wondering what your guys' thoughts are. If somebody, for instance, me, if I have my own personal plant and I tip it over, is it Debbie and Brian's responsibility to clean that up, or is that my responsibility to clean that up?
Who tips it over?
If I tip my own personal plant over,
Is it the cat tipping it over or the dog?
Really, we had to make that decision.
I am asked to, I am asked to bring that to you guys, and
Really. You couldn't answer that question all on your own.
I guess if you clean it up, it doesn't.
You know what,
cost
if
the
you spill your
taxpayers.
plant, clean it up.
It doesn't
If it
cost-
doesn't get cleaned up, shame on you, but Debbie's gonna have to do it.
okay.
That's the dumbest damn question I've heard.
I will relay the message.
No, it isn't a dumb question by her. Why did she have to ask it?
Did you tip your plant over?
No, I
You said it
didn't.
was your plant.
I didn't tip my own plant over.
Yeah.
Do you want the situation, or can we just?
Well, I think it's a matter of courtesy, the same as you don't walk into the courthouse with muddy shoes. You know, that, you probably don't do that way. You probably, if you tip your plant over, you probably clean it up. Like Troy said, ultimately, it's got to get cleaned up. So it can't just get left laying there and argue over who's going to clean it up.
Let me put it this way. If you spill your Coke on your desk during the day, are you going to clean that up, or are you going to work in it the rest of the day?
I will relay the message.
Until Debbie cleans it off your desk.
Debbie, dust my desk. I spilled my Coke on it today. No.
All right, plant issue's dead.
I don't think I had anything else there.
Well, the other thing on the new, I mean, someday we should figure out dumping dirt over there. You
Huh?
know, we're on new courthouse, old courthouse.
Okay.
Dumping a couple loads of dirt over there. Someday we should come to a conclusion.
Oh,
what
we should
want.
finish the outside
Well,
landscape.
someday we should come to
Yeah.
a decision on what we want to do.
And I know that, speaking of that, when we got that hard rain, it really undermined that
Did it go
sidewalk.
under the sidewalk? I thought
Well,
it
I
looked like
don't
it.
look like it was undermining it.
How come they didn't
I didn't-
trench it like the rest of them around the courthouse?
I don't know if it ran over the sidewalk and was undermining. I mean, there should be sod up to that sidewalk, and then it couldn't do that. I think
But
that's
they got the downspouts down behind the sidewalk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all the other ones, they had a trough. on
Yeah, I
all
don't.
the
I don't. The
sidewalks.
the sidewalk is right against the building. I think.
Oh, I thought maybe there. I thought there was a gap.
I can't remember.
Where?
I can't remember
In the back?
going into social services.
Oh, into social services. I don't know.
On the east
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't-
I remember. So yeah, we're gonna have to address that at some point.
Not today.
Okay.
Put it on the agenda for next meeting then.
What's on new courthouse, old courthouse, I guess. If we just remember to, maybe all of us take a look over there or something, or come up with ideas, or, I don't know.
I just don't want that same sand we got on the west side of the building. That wasn't dirt.
Well, isn't there black dirt in one of these pits somewhere that we can just have the county go load up and bring in?
Sure seems like there ought to be.
I don't know. Zeke used to sell black dirt. Does he still got a pile back over there on that leisure land?
I don't know, but I mean, the county ground, isn't there a pit someone we can do that? I suppose that's not ours.
No, plus it's, a lot of times if they have to reclaim those, I suppose they want some black dirt.
Yeah.
Future business.
I just found out each of the clubs own their own buildings.
What?
Each of
The
the
clubs
clubs
own them,
own
not
their
the
own
county.
buildings.
Yeah, then I don't know how we could donate money to them.
Should I put that on the agenda for next meeting? Or do I need to get what's the cost they're requesting?
I don't think we need to know that anymore. Do we, John? We can't do that.
No different than us going and putting windows in your house or something. I can't.
I have to read 5 of the JDA.
They just need to find another donor. Maybe it can't be the taxpayers.
Yeah, it's, I don't, if they own them, I don't know how we can put public funds into it.
No. So do we need Samantha to respond to them?
Well, I mean, the only way it can be done is through the maintenance fund in the budget, during the budgetary process.
Maintenance.
Yeah, they
Oh, they can put it in there.
right, and I
Yeah.
mean, we levy the money, I mean, they can use levied money.
Right.
But it would take away from, I mean, they never have a surplus anyway, I mean.
Right. No, I knew that.
So I respond to her?
Yeah, and I guess the response would be, we're terribly sorry, but because they're privately owned buildings, we have no way to put public money into them.
Okay.
Other than through the normal
Budgetary process.
for the senior citizens
Yeah.
and
They can use budgeted money,
through the levy.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
They can use budgeted money.
Perfect.
Future business?
Motion to adjourn.
Been moved by Ron to adjourn. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 3:30 p.m. Next regular meeting on July 7th at 1 p.m. And then July 21st at 1 p.m.